Joining us, a man who is no stranger to the Observer, Point-a-Peer MP, and UNC Shadow Minister of Energy, Mr. David Lee. Pleasant good evening to you, sir.
Good evening to you,
Yeah,
Mikee K, and your viewers out there.
thank you. It's a pleasure. I know you're not
Other than the
100%.
weather,
Yeah.
I think I might have to try some turmeric extract there.
All right. Warning for Paria. The Oilfield Workers Trade Union has delivered a letter to Paria Fuel Trading Company requesting the commencement of discussions on compensation for the families of the four deceased LMCS Limited divers and survivor Christopher Boudram. Why are these individuals getting a runaround after a commission of inquiry, after we as citizens, we saw, we listened, everything that has unfolded? Why are they getting this kind of treatment now?
Well, that's a very good starting point, Mikey K. And the country, I think the country is asking that same question. Why there have not been any sort of discussions, compensation for these families. On February 25th, which is literally just in a month's time, or just under shy of a month, we'll be recognizing the 2 years that this tragedy took place at the Paria compounds in Point-a-Peer. My decay, I asked a simple question to the Prime Minister Friday in Parliament, and God alone knows why I asked that question, because the Prime Minister had, in his normal, ducking and weaving and style, could not answer why some compensation cannot be given to these families. Yeah. What this Prime Minister has done is he has taken this 500-page report that was commissioned and delivered to the President by K.C. Lynch, the chairman of the commissioners, and the President has passed this report onto the Cabinet, to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister now has laid it in Parliament and has passed it on to the same Paria board and management that is still in place after 2 years. That the chairman of the board is Newman George. We all know who Newman George is, to the Prime Minister. The same players are still in place at Paria. The Colin Pipers, the Mustaq Mohammeds, the Balkisoons, and they are still in place in Paria. So what does this country and the families expect to get? Do they expect to get any justice coming out of this report? They were part and parcel of this whole tragedy, and they have and for the last 2 years they still ran Paria. And it cannot, by the we are saying as an opposition, we are telling this country, it cannot be business as usual for these managers and CEOs to sit in place and their same board and adjudicate and deliberate on this commissioner's report.
And I agree with you. And I think any right-thinking person would agree with you, because, Mr. Lee, here it is, the Prime Minister responded to you and said that, he has left the findings of the commission inquiry were being reviewed by the Paria board, and the government was not prepared to override the board's responsibility and role. But it is the same board that showed no responsibility and didn't function in the role of taking charge to help save the lives of these individuals. Now you're entrusting them to make a decision to do what? To benefit whom? And in the interest of whom?
No, but my DK, it goes further than that. You would have thought that the cabinet led by Prime Minister Rowley, after reading this report, and it was so damning on this same present management and board, you will give the report to the board and say, tell me what are your recommendations. What should we do? That's insane. It is reckless. It is a lack of empathy to the families and this country if Prime Minister Rowley has done this. Because if you look at just on page, a simple thing as you rightly said, duty and care of these families, Mikey K. The CEO of the company is one Mr. Mustaq Mohammed. He was a key player when this tragedy took place. He is still there today. And we even understand, and we are asking a question. Since this report has been delivered, or before this report was delivered to the Prime Minister, was Mustaq Mohammed terms employment contract renewed for a further 2 years? We are asking this question because we have some information, so we are asking the question. So come clean and tell us. Now, Mustaq Mohammed, on his role when they asked him, the commissioner, in during the situation, he was so callous that he was saying that he doesn't understand, he has no excuse for not communicating with the families. He just don't have an answer when the commissioner asked him. I mean, it is insane. It is insane, Mikee K. Yeah. And if you read this report, let me just leave a part here.
Go ahead.
Recommendation 40, page 295. This is from Commissioner Lynch and his commissioner. And I quote, "We recommend to the Director of Public Prosecutions that on the evidence before this commission, we find that there are sufficient grounds to conclude that Paria's negligence could be characterized as gross negligence and consequently criminal." I'll go further. "We do not conclude that the same is true of LMCS, as we have the view that they were effectively prevented from pursuing a rescue by Paria." Page 295, recommendation 40.
And let me ask you this. As far as the comment that the company has done work and they have money, is it to say that, look, we don't want to be bothered with that because these people made money, functioning as a contractor or something?
Mikee K, Prime Minister Rowley is a very good politician. He understands politics and banter. He threw out a figure when I asked him the question, well, nobody will starve. Nobody will starve. Some people get $50 million. From the time he said that, the media went in a frenzy. I knew that. But the figure he threw out was that maybe it was work done by this contractor over the years that he worked with Petrotrin and Paria. But I just want to and you know the flip side to that, Mikee K, is that Paria as a company, Mikee K, has earned over $600 million profit since they came into existence. And as at 30th of September 2022, the year of the accident, Paria had cash balances on hand of over $836 million.
Wow.
Paria has paid out, as Prime Minister Rowley would have said in Parliament, they have paid 2 lawyers on behalf of Paria. Paria paid their 2 lawyers, Gilbert Peterson and Jason Mutu, over close to $9 million. And these families have gotten not a cent, not a book bag, not a school book, not a ruler, not a pen. These families and their children have gotten nothing in the last 2 years.
Let me ask you something.
That is not heartless. I don't know what it is.
And you're right. Let me ask you something before we close off here. You are the shadow energy minister. What is Dr. Rowley doing in the U.S.? Is it that the deal is dead, or is it just a matter of geopolitical games being played out? I listened
to Ken and I listened to you, and you left out something very critical, the latest piece of information. That is from a statement by the spokesperson, Matthew Miller, which is the state government. And I would not quote his entire paragraph, but coming to the end of his paragraph, what he says, the United States will not renew the license.
That's right.
The license is the Venezuelan Oil and Gas Sector General License 44. Will not renew the license when it expires on April 18th, 2024. Will not renew the license. So Prime Minister Rowley will come back home with Shortyong later this week and beat his chest and I will tell you, well, they had good discussions with the energy on crime and security. They did some deals with trade, and the fat lady has not sung us yet. So we still have some time till April 18th to see if we can work out. Now I will say to you, Shortyong will jump on a plane next week and try and go and, as they say, dance the Congo line with Maduro and Delcy Rodriguez once again to see if they could calm him down, to see what will happen on April 18th. But as Ken Ali says, you cannot place all your eggs in that basket, and we have always been on a precipice with Maduro. And the energy chambers and the energy experts would not want to say that. They don't want to say that.
I agree with you. They've saddled a tiger and they simply don't know how to get off. And that
That's
in itself is bad. Where does it take us from here? Well, you know, a lot is left to be seen. But we really and truly would like to hear what they have to say upon their return, because it is quite clear that this Dragon gas deal is simply not going to take off, at least no time soon. And as I mentioned before when I was speaking to Ken, I mean, these companies have shareholders, and these shareholders would want returns. And they certainly don't want to invest in something that has no stability, because that is going to be something hindering their bottom line. So,
as much as Shell is a great friend and ally to Prime Ministers Rowley and Stuart Young and this government, at the end of the day, they still have to account to their shareholders.
so true.
And that they still have to account to their shareholders.
Get some rest, Dr. David Lee. Pick up your bottle of Omega XL. I want to thank you so much for taking time out to talk to us this evening. Wish you and your team all the best. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.